Well, thanks for making time. Like, I'm really chuffed to be chatting with you. If I'm being honest, I've been singing the Asylum's praises for over 15 years. I think since Transmorphers and Alien versus Hunter came out, like I've been on board.
It's been a while.
I think the fact that you guys are still kicking ass is incredible. I hold you up with Roger Corman and Lloyd Kaufman as these sort of indie demigods. Like I really, really love what you do. Has the Asylum become so much bigger than you anticipated when you began?
Um, let's just say that we weren't certain going into it that we were going to build the recognizable brand that we have. And again, I don't know how wide it is, if it is as far-reaching as Trauma and Corman, but we're certainly in great company.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I used to own a video store, and I reckon I personally kept you guys in business because I had multiple copies of everything you had on my shelf.
Was Video Easy or was it Block? Oh, it was okay.
Yeah, it was a Video Easy store, and I went independent and then became my own store and just dealt personally through or directly through Peacock, who you were dealing with at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And your latest one, Megalodon the Frenzy, like it's an absolute banger. It's probably the most fun that the Megalodon movies have been. Do you find that people are still lapping up the shark stuff? What is it about sharks?
So first of all, yes, and I think uh, we've definitely moved toward what we're calling a more realistic shark movie, moreover, and less the Sharknado. But you know, um, an incredible villain. Great lines, great look, the black eyes. We know what it is, and it's unapologetic. Perhaps we make it a little more uh, man hungry than maybe it really is. But
Yeah. Do you get out to conventions at all? Like how do you gauge what the fans are after? Like what made you want to switch to the more realistic as opposed to the Sharknadoes?
right. Well, first of all, of course, we saw, with ratings and maybe certain companies, certain territories weren't. Maybe we won't pass on Sharknado 6, but so we're
Yeah.
seeing that. So we knew we wrung it dry. But we're noticing perhaps, maybe I'll give some definite strong credit to not only the shadows, but uh, um, how many miles deep? I forget the
Yeah, 47. 47.
a clearly summer, and I have to give, of course, to Discovery. Clearly, the summer belongs to sharks and remains that way.
Yeah.
Uh, we're just a very small part of it, but they continue to be huge hits for us and others who are in them.
Yeah, absolutely. And people, I don't know whether you embrace it or not, but people have, suggested that the Asylum is synonymous with mockbusters. Does that sit well with you, or do you hold it proudly?
Okay, so yeah, I think as I understand it, my partner Paul Bales, David Lott's also a third partner, but Paul, he knows the publication that first coined the phrase might have times, but and so in relation to us, so we have to own it. It's not what I use all the time. I'm
Yeah.
more drafting or but Mockbuster we definitely have embraced and do own it. But number one, as you well know, it's not a strategy we came up with at all. It's something
No.
that was there in AIP back in the day, and Corman, of course. We even say like news does it. If there's even NPR when Barbie came out, they had their own, the true story of Barbie. These huge marketing budgets create an interest and an awareness, and
Yeah.
then You just jump on board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a regular conversation on our show is we go right back to the 40s when Hollywood was, piggybacking off each other, all the studios and whatnot. It's nothing new. So this question applies to, I guess, all of the Asylum movies, but projects like Megalodon come about. How does it happen? Like, do you have a brainstorm session? Is there do you get word that another Hollywood movie's coming out? Here's what we can maybe do. How does it all come together?
Okay, so one answer is yes. We do see what's coming out, primarily, from the major studios, but also it could be some event. Back in the day, the conspiracy theorists were going crazy with 2012 being the end of the world, and boy, did we do quite well with that. But yeah, I think primarily what makes the most sense for us and the distributors we work with, the platforms, is if it's based on a big studio film, because again, there's an awareness that's created and an interest, and all forms of media, including us, tag along. The other answer is that in actuality, it isn't like we're going into a brain, isn't as if we're going into, a session internally where we come up with these ideas. It's really that we have conversations with our buyers, primarily our Japanese distributor. We've been working with at least 15 years, probably more. And they'll tell us, what about a zombie zoo? And that's how we came up with Zombies. And look, Shark with Two Heads. That's how Two-Headed Shark Attack came about, and the many sequels. So it's often conversations from our buyers.
Yeah, right. I better be careful not to let any ideas slip here. You might take them. So your director, Brendan Petrizzo, I think his name is, he's done a great job on this one. He's made a few films for you guys. How do you select directors? Is it whoever isn't currently on a production, or do you have people in mind for each one?
Let me talk about him.
Okay.
He works at the studio himself. He let's call him an original fanboy, and he'll tell me, yeah, I remember when I rented and watched this one, and I'm like, oh, I apologize, I know we screwed up on that one. He's like, you owe me for that one. And specifically with him, it's come to the point where if I can't remember a movie that we did 17 years ago, he'll go, oh, that's that one. And so somewhere along the way in working on our sets, he said, look, let me direct one. And he knows the model so well, and the rich history that he's become one of our regulars. But really it is the avenue of coming from editing, acting, direct, DPing, so that avenue, or we meet people along the way, and they're ready to take that leap, the first one, or they've been around and maybe they want to do something fast and fun.
I'm actually really good mates with Michael Su, who's one of your newer directors. I still haven't seen his new Transmorphers yet, but I'm dying to. But I've known him for 12 years or so now, so I was really excited to see him on board.
Did he tell you that right now he's shooting Snow White and the Seven Samurai?
No, but I know he's on something, but he hasn't revealed that. That's exciting.
I'm particularly excited about that one because it's sort of more of an action movie, which we don't do a lot of. So
yeah, and Snow White is all the talk at the moment, so you're definitely on the right train there. So your talent here, you've got Eric Roberts and Caroline Williams. They're your draw card names for Megalodon. The Asylum is so famous for boasting similar kinds of names, throughout the catalog. As a movie lover, do you geek out whenever these people rock up on set?
So first of all, of course I do. Second, at this point in time, my partners and I, we spend little to no time on set, and unfortunately, I don't, I rarely get to meet them. I do always make it to Comic-Con, and we bring some actors along there, and that's when I finally get to meet them, and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy who's saying no to you're the guy who's not paying us more." No, but definitely, I'm a true fan, and am shaking in my shoes as I talk to them when I meet them. But it's pretty amazing, and all I want to do is sit there and have them tell me stories about back in the day.
Totally, that'd be me. I mean, have any of them sort of exceeded your expectations as far as being like decent human beings?
Let me tell a brief story before I answer that one, which I will as well.
Please.
The brief story is going back a question is it's like Sci-Fi wanted to have us do a movie with or instead of Roger Corman, which was going to be Sharktopus. And he's like, screw them, I know how to make a movie. So we didn't get to, but I was all excited. I said, well, can we get to meet him anyway? And we did have lunch, and I wanted to hear all these stories, but all he wanted to talk about is, look, could you guys do some CGI for us? Just not reminiscing, just wanted to see, what kind
down to business.
But to answer your question, someone that comes to mind, I don't know how exciting this is because there isn't a great genre. He's not rich in a great genre history, but I will say that we worked with, and not on a movie, we brought him to a red box, which is it's a physical vending machine that we had. They might have tried it in Australia. I don't know.
They did.
Didn't travel. But anyway, we took it to an event there, took him, and this is Jim Belushi, and he jumped on stage, jammed with the band. And he just was someone who, and unlike a lot of who you meet in Hollywood, including me, just whatever he said and felt, that was it. I have to say. So Jim Belushi definitely comes to mind there. But there have been so many, and some that we just end up having, friendships with over the time. I will say that my partner, David Latt, who handles production, he, of course, has the much closer relationship with the cast. He's there on set more often and, usually extend the hands to meet them and so on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great position to be in. There's been some incredible people that have passed through your doors. Ronnie Cox is a big one for me. Like, I would love to have met him.
Did not meet him, but
yeah. So before we wrap up, one final question for you. Do you have a personal favorite Asylum movie?
Okay, so I think I should update my answer, but I know that one that I have always sort of said, sort of as a viewer, as a fan, I'm more excited about than maybe others. And it's going to be surprising because I do love romantic comedies, and the only time I'm able to get into that, aside from some Hallmark movies, is when we did these sexy comedies, and we did one called Number One Cheerleader Camp.
Yep, I've got it.
Just really sweet and charming. The leads have a great connection. There's some good dance sequences. We had a wonderful choreographer come in, charming and sexy and fun. There are many more that are near and dear. I will also say that many people were involved in this more than ever, but our spinoff to Z Nation called Black Summer, which was a Netflix exclusive, that really stands up as something that stylish, strong, stark.
Yeah. Absolutely, couldn't agree. That was like a really fantastic. It was a really good at the time alternative to Walking Dead when people were getting fatigued by that. This was something new and fresh, and had that quality.
Before it, we referred to that as the Running Dead. Sort of more action packed and.
I love that. I love that. Well, David, thank you so much for hanging out and having a chat. Like, I've actually been wanting to do this for years, so I'm chuffed.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, reach out anytime. Brendan, who we talked about, and Anthony, who did the Sharknadoes, Ferranti works with us as well. And Michael Sue. So definitely reach out. I'm sure they'd be very excited.
We've had Anthony on our show, Good Movie Monday. Yeah. So he's great to chat with. And and Michael, we're going to get him on very soon. But thank you for you being here. Really appreciate it.
Kratos 2, it's a clean energy power plant. Initiating dig.
What's that?
Get back to Kratos now.
There could be an entire ecosystem down there, and we just unleashed it.
There's more.
Does anyone copy? We need assistance.
Help is on the way.
Siding up the starboard bow.
Eyes all around!
That thing could tear down this entire station, and us with it.
We're not going to let it destroy our research or hurt somebody.
Thank goodness you're that truck today.
Now blow these things to hell.
Fit in the water! I got a visual.
How many megalodons are out there?
And megalodons have come here to give birth.
See everything as a threat to their offspring.
Fire and will! Come on! Get me!